Okay, hey guys, it's Coach Gaglione here from GaglioneStrength.com. We got Payal here. How's it going today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good.
So we kind of ran into each other at USAPL Nationals a couple of weeks ago and down in Atlanta. So just tell people watching, maybe they don't know you, a little bit about yourself, who you are, and kind of how you kind of got started in lifting.
Sure. My name is Payal. I'm a 47 kg, 48 kg powerlifter. I compete both in USAPL and USPA. Most people know me because I can deadlift.
Nice. There you go.
but, um, I guess that's me. Um,
Anything else?
yeah.
Anything else you want to share about besides like lifting? Like what else you do, like kind of outside the gym or anything like that?
So right now I'm a postdoc, which means I have a PhD in exercise physiology. I got my degree about almost 2 years ago.
Cool.
And so I'm kind of in that in-between phase looking for a faculty position, but doing research still. So that's my not powerlifting life.
Cool. And is there anything? What are you like, kind of like looking to do with that? Anything in particular, or are you kind of just seeing what your
Me?
options are? Or?
Yeah, so right now I'm probably going to look for teaching positions.
Cool.
I realize I prefer teaching over doing research, so want to look at universities where I can mainly do that and work with
All
undergrads.
right. Awesome. Well, good luck with that. So.
Thank you.
All right, cool. So yeah, so actually, like when we first met, like I said, I was at US Appeal Nationals. I was helping my friend Tiff out, and you guys were kind of it was a little craziness. We didn't really know when we were starting, and a little wild, but
It was an evening.
we made it through. So I just want to kind of rewind a little bit, and then maybe we can kind of recap that whole thing. But so how did you actually get started first into lifting? You know, were you like an athlete growing up or anything like that, or like how did you kind of get started with just strength training in general?
Yeah, so growing up in high school and college, I was a swimmer in high school and then I was a rower in college, and I always kind of lifted as a supplement to my main sport. But it wasn't until a while later where I started to lift just to lift. I kind of got tired and burnt out from all the endurance sports, and so I was just lifting to be stronger because I wanted to be. And then when I was in grad school was where I met my friend who coaches me, who got me into powerlifting. We mainly just started because I wanted to learn how to lift properly. I felt like uh, I remember at the time I told him I could trap bar deadlift a lot, but I couldn't deadlift. And so I actually joined him just to learn how to deadlift properly. And that kind of turned into becoming a powerlifter or getting hooked and becoming a powerlifter.
Cool. And were you? I know like you have like so. What's your best deadlift? Like 375 or something like that, or four? Or
Yeah, so it's 374 on a stiff bar and then 385 on a deadlift bar.
awesome. So pretty huge number for someone weighing like just barely over 100 pounds. So, um, did you always like? Were you always kind of good at the deadlift, or was that something you had to like kind of work at, or?
Well, so at the beginning, I only deadlifted, and I didn't really realize that I was good at it, but I guess off the bat, um, the first competition I did was a few months into deadlifting with my friend, and I guess I was good at it from off the bat. Um, but I didn't really realize that I was going to be that good. Um, yeah.
Cool. Do you remember like the first time you actually just tried to like do like a regular like deadlift on like a straight bar? Like, do you remember how much weight you did and like how did that like feel?
I remember it being hard. I have no idea how much I had on the bar. I doubt I had even 135 on the bar. Um, I just remember being really, really sore the next
Sure.
after the first few sessions. For the days after, I would be just very sore from it. But I'm pretty sure at the start I couldn't even do 135.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, like everyone starts somewhere, and I definitely
Yeah.
am
Well, I
someone who
think
started somewhere.
yeah. Well, I think it's like a lot of people kind of maybe see what you're doing now and they're like, oh my god, I can't like imagine even pulling 200 or 300 pounds. But like you said, they don't kind of realize kind of like where you started. So I think
Yeah.
that's great advice. So can you remember like maybe a point in time where you're like, you said you kind of started getting burnt out with the endurance sports. When did you kind of really start to pursue powerlifting as a more competitive kind of thing? And when did you kind of start taking your training to the next level? Was there like a moment or like an event that kind of like I really want to kind of do this more serious now?
Yeah, so when I started, like I said, I had started only to learn how to lift properly, like to learn the technique. I never really had any intention of competing. Um, I ended up doing one full power meet, I guess just because, actually, I remember it was because my friend, my coach, we kind of had some bet. In order, I wanted him to train me in all three lifts, but in order for him to do that, I had to do a full power meet, even though I didn't want to. So it was at that meet. I think I did better than I thought I would, and it was just the competition that got me hooked. And I decided, like, you know what? Yeah, I want to commit to this. I want to actually be a power lifter. I want to do all three lifts, and I want to train with that in mind, like as a power lifter, not just
Cool.
as someone who's trying to lift properly.
Sure. And then, what can you tell us a little bit about like how that experience was for you? Like, what was going through your head, your first competition, and how did that feel?
I remember being very nervous. um, I can't honestly, it's been so long. I don't really remember what was going through my head. I just remember I wanted to hit all three of my lifts. I think I'm trying to remember back to then. It's been quite a few years now. Um, I just remember like I wanted to hit all three lifts. Anything I would have gotten was going to be a PR, so I was happy with whatever I
Sure.
happened to lift that day. And I just remember being very nervous because I hadn't done this before. I wasn't sure what to expect. But thankfully, like I had my coach Jared there with me, who kind of just guided me through it and picked all my attempts. So it was just okay, pick up the weight and hope that I can do it.
Awesome. Yeah, so maybe you could tell people about like having someone helping you, having a coach, how that's helped you, and what's kind of like the benefit of have someone like kind of handling you and maybe like picking your numbers and things like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I don't even know where to start with that. In that it is definitely something where if you're at all serious about powerlifting, it's good to have a coach to do your programming, to be there for you on meet day, especially as a beginner. Maybe later on you might have the confidence and the
Yeah.
knowledge to do it yourself, but at the beginning you kind of need someone to guide you through it. There's so many nuances that come into programming and training for powerlifting that having someone knowledgeable and not having to think day to day about my training, just knowing
Yeah.
I have to just show up and he told me that I'm going to lift this weight for this many sets and reps, and if he says I can do it, then I can do it, and I just do it. It's nice to have it be so stress free, and then especially on meet day, to not have to think. And again, for me, it was like, well, my coach believes in me, and I believe in him, so I because of that believe in myself. I know
Yeah.
if he says pick up this weight, I will pick it up. It's just good to have that there.
Totally.
And someone who understands the rules, because there are quite a few rules that you need to
Yes,
be
there are.
aware of.
My first powerlifting meet, I missed the squat command even though I knew about it, and then I learned. I was like 18 years old, and I remember like learning how to pause on the bench very quickly, and my max went down
Yeah.
quite 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 a bit. It was a little bit different, but just wanted to kind of bounce back on your point about kind of like taking the anxiety out of it. I don't know if you're familiar with Larry Wheels. Larry Williams, one of the guys I work
Yeah.
with, and he'll be competing this weekend. In an interview, he basically said like to paraphrase like, it takes like the anxiety out of the meet. You don't have to think, and he's like, I could just be an animal. So like you kind of just
Yes.
go there, you execute, you lift, you have fun, and I think that if you could like reduce the stress, especially on a competition day, any like less thinking you got to do, the better. And you could just be an athlete, and I think that's like really great advice for like people starting out. So very cool. So you don't have like a typical like kind of power lifters build. If you kind of look at you, you might say like,
I
how
don't look
how,
like
do,
I
how,
lift.
how does this girl like pick up like almost 400 pounds, pretty crazy stuff. So if someone was kind of like maybe hesitating about starting, or maybe they don't think like they have the potential to be a good lifter, or they're just kind of afraid to start, what advice can you kind of give them, being someone that's maybe like not the kind of typical like weightlifter kind of build?
Right. Well, so it's funny you say that mainly because before I did finally join my friend Coach Jared to lift with him, he had been trying to get me to lift with him for a couple of months, and I said no, no, because I felt like I wasn't strong enough and that I wasn't ready to do it because he and his group were so strong and
Yeah.
I'm just this teeny little girl. Like, I can't lift with them. And so I felt like I needed a few months on my own to just build up some strength. And looking back, I'm like, that was stupid. If you want to lift, just start it.
Yeah.
Find a program. Biggest thing is just either get a coach to program for you or find a program and just start. Um, yeah, actually, honestly, that is it. Like, looking back, the only way to get better at it is to get started. And so the biggest thing I can say is if you want to power lift, you need to just start and be on a program of some sort that you either found or preferably, I think it's better to have a coach. But yeah, just start.
Very cool. Yeah, I think everyone's kind of like thinking like I even get like a lot of girls that like think, or even guys that like they got to train just to like even get like into the gym, and
Yeah,
it's like you just got everyone, like you said, everyone starts somewhere. Don't be afraid to start, and don't be afraid to ask for help if you need help too, if you're not really
right.
sure like what to do, because there are, like I said, it seems like a pretty simple sport where you kind of just pick up the weight and put it down, but there are like so many nuances and like things, from safety to just
Yeah,
what's actually optimal for your body is good. And you could be, having someone else be like more objective and kind of watch you from the outside. And a lot of times, sometimes you could be emotional with yourself and you start comparing yourself to others as opposed to just kind of comparing yourself to you. And I think that's kind of like the best thing. So very cool. Um, how long have you been actually competitively lifting for?
um, I think about 4 years.
Cool, very nice.
Mhm.
So, how did you along those like 4 years? Did you have any setbacks, and how did you go from like just doing a local competition to now you're in the prime time for USAPL Nationals, which is pretty cool, which is a pretty wild kind of experience. And maybe you could talk about like, and if you had any setbacks and kind of how you got to the point where you're at like today.
I think I've most recent, like, any setbacks I've had have probably happened in this last year, honestly. In the years before, it was pretty steady, just keep lifting, get a little stronger, do a meet, hit a couple, like, 5 pound, 10 pound PRs, and kind of keep doing that. Um, I'll be honest, like, I think that I've had setbacks in this past year, mainly because I have a bad habit of doing back-to-back meets and getting a little injured because of it. um, and the problem there is because I think in this past year, yeah, I've noticed also I've gotten stronger and I've gotten from being okay at the local level to getting to this point of being kind of decent at a national level. And in a way, I think that might have gotten to my head a little bit because I keep wanting to break this record or that record.
Yeah,
And so that's why I'm entering this meet and that meet to try to do that, which isn't the way to go about it. I just need to get back to just, keep training to get stronger. And then when I do my meet, it'll either show or not. But not trying to do meets to break records. Like, thinking in that way is what has held me back, I think, now, and is why I'm getting injured. So that's why my plan going forward is I have one more meet coming up. After that, I'm probably going to take the next year to just train and not do another meet until
right.
next nationals.
Very cool. Just focus on getting better. Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
think in the beginning, I think it's definitely good to do a bunch of meets back to back just to like get the experience of competing, especially if you're not an athlete,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a skill in itself. But then once you get to a certain level, like I said, you're a couple years in. Those newbie gains are long
Are
gone,
gone.
and it actually takes some time to to actually build strength. It's not just your motor patterns are probably pretty good. You're not going to kind of just magically lift 50 pounds more for improving your technique and things like that. And it actually takes some time, whether it's building muscle, building strength on top of that. So I think that's very smart. I think that's really good advice. I think a lot of people, the analogy I like to give my guys is like, it's kind of like taking a test without studying. You could like keep taking the test over and over, but if you don't kind of like study for it and actually prepare for it,
Right.
you're going to get the same result over and over. So just make sure you get enough training in and not just testing your strength all the time.
Right.
Focus on like building it. So I think that's really cool advice. And then yeah, the last thing we can kind of talk about, and then we can kind of close out and finish up. But yeah, tell me a little bit about like how was it competing like on a big stage. Was that probably like one of your like I guess like more memorable things that you've done in the sport so far, kind of being
Yeah,
on a
for
big
sure. I
stage?
mean,
Yeah,
like that was the first big meet I've ever done. Before that, all of the meets I've done have been local
cool.
meets. Um, so it was very nerve wracking in a way. I haven't ever been in such a big stage. I've never been at that level of a meet before. I had a lot of pressure on myself, and I feel like we all as athletes
Yeah,
trying to be better, we do that. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and I definitely did put a lot of pressure. Um, Coming out of it, looking at it now, I'm excited. Like, I'm really excited to do it again next
yeah,
year. I had a lot of fun. I think, though, again, I got in my head and did have so much pressure on myself that at the time, I'm not sure if I enjoyed it as much as I should have. I enjoyed the next day a whole lot, watching everyone else.
sure.
But it was really, I think, it was kind of surreal, but also very cool to be around all of these high profile lifters that I've been following on Instagram and that I see like how awesome they are as lifters, and to just be able to talk to them um, and watch them lift. Like that was actually really cool. And then it still doesn't quite hit me that I was on the same stage as many of them.
Yeah, it's
But
awesome.
it was kind of a cool feeling to be like, oh, cool, like I'm next to you, I'm competing next to you, and you're so awesome, and I'm not sure I'm there yet, but it was nice to be there.
Yeah, I think you can kind of keep building on that experience and get like a little better each year. And that's definitely. I mean, I thought that was cool because I think a lot of times at some of those meets, you kind of it gets kind of watered down maybe by some of the other people, but kind of really separating like the top people. I thought was a really
Yeah.
cool way to do it. Like I said, I wish it kind of happened a
Yeah.
little earlier, but I was kind of like almost ready for bed. But by the time we got to deadlifts, but yeah, that was pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to see you compete again in the future. So good luck. Good luck. Are you doing the
Thanks.
American Open next, or what's the next?
I mean,
I know you
so
said
I
you.
say right now my next meet won't be until next nationals.
Oh, okay.
If I feel better, I might do something in the summer, but I'm gonna try really hard not to let
You're gonna focus on main thing is focus on
just training.
nationals
Yeah.
next year. Very good, love it, cool. All right, awesome. So, is there any place where people can kind of find you if they want to like see what you're doing or kind of just connect with you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, I think like for all my powerlifting stuff, I mainly put that on Instagram, and my Instagram name is just PGHOSH, or the letter or number two. Um, but yeah, that's where I put everything as far as powerlifting
Cool.
related stuff.
All right, awesome. Well, I just want to thank you again for coming on. It was great chatting with you. I
Good
hope
to
you
talk to
guys,
you.
yeah, absolutely. I hope you guys learned something from her and it just inspires you. Let's definitely drop a comment below. Let's show her some love. And if this video helps you, please share it. If you know someone else maybe that's had a similar situation, maybe you could share it with them. Please subscribe and check out the links below. And thanks again for watching. So, bye, guys.
Thanks.